Hi everyone and welcome back to ADA Network State, the best place to find out the latest happening from across the Cardano ecosystem and the wider crypto space. Now let's get started. Today, we have a number of topics to go through. From a macroeconomic standpoint, we're going to look at potential upcoming rate cuts, a hint at a cabinet position for Elon Musk under a Trump administration, and a possibility of Gary Gensler becoming Treasury Secretary under a Harris administration. From across the Cardano ecosystem, we're going to take a look at the readiness for Chang and the date set for the hard fork. We'll have a look at Charles and his speech at the AI4 Conference and ADA now being available on Binance Pay. From a Cardano project standpoint, we're going to look at two projects here. That is IAMX and their product Docufi3d. And secondly, Finest Tokenization, a real-world asset platform recently launched on Cardano. We'll take a special look at the RWA Conference that occurred at the weekend, Charles's keynote, Hydra and the game Doom running on across Hydra heads, the Lace paper wallet bug bounty, and RFK and Charles's Fireside chat. And finally, from the wider crypto ecosystem, we'll take a look at ramping up demand for institutional ETF, the Bitcoin ETF. We'll take a look at a viral Solana Reddit post. And finally, Max Kaiser and his view on the demise of the nation state. Reuters has reported that the Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates by 75 basis points before the end of the year. This is expected to come in three sets of 25 basis point reductions, the first one being as soon as this Friday coming as the Fed meet at Jackson Hole. Inflation targets have dropped down and are approaching that 2% target set by the Fed before they start reducing rates. I think they're getting a lot more pressure. It seems like they're getting a lot more pressure to cut those rates now as we approach the end of the year. Something to watch out for this Friday. Donald Trump recently said that if elected president, he would offer Elon Musk a cabinet slot. So there's been a few hints towards this over the last week or so. This slot would be in government efficiency. And I think what they were alluding to really was the mass, call it efficiency program that Elon has been running at X as an example. So I think Trump's looking at the government and the big sort of side, the big state that the US government has, and is saying, I'm going to hire Elon to go and cut that down and make that more efficient. To which Elon has posted this image with the caption, I am willing to serve. And interestingly, the Department of Government Efficiency on the podium, which spells out Doge. And on to a report from the Kamala Harris campaign. The news that is coming out is that Harris is likely to nominate Gary Gensler as Treasury Secretary if elected. Now, if this is true, this would not be good. Gary has been taken a very anti-crypto stance over the last 4 years. And if Harris is elected and he's allowed to continue to do that from the Treasury Secretary position, this would not help crypto as a whole. Now, there are, to caveat this, conflicting reports coming out that this is not, in fact, the case from some well-known ex-personalities. But I'm going to still wanted to talk to this just to put it out there. It's worth keeping an eye on. Onto the Chang hard fork readiness bulletin from Intersect. So this is an article that Intersect release a couple of times a week. And the latest one from yesterday shows that what we are tracking here by stake, The SPOs have reached over the 80%. I think it's actually 83% of block production leveraging node version 9.1. So we have crossed that threshold. Secondly, we are now tracking the exchanges, that's the centralized exchanges, and how they're supporting version 9.1 ready for Chang. So according to this latest bulletin, 12 exchanges are ready and 19 are underway in terms of their update. And the remainder doesn't state the number here, but they are have not started the upgrade yet. And in terms of decentralized applications, there are a number of applications which either haven't reported to Intersect that they're ready for Chang or haven't started yet. So I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll take a look. There is some information which I'll share with you in a second. Looking at the Cardano Explorer site and specifically the hard fork events and exchange status page, we can see the report here of exchanges listed by liquidity and which exchanges are ready for Chang, which ones are in progress, and which ones have not started yet. So you can see by liquidity, the biggest here, Binance, followed by Poloniex at making up about 26%, 27% of the total liquidity in progress now. We've got a few here that have not started yet, and we need to get to an 85% threshold of liquidity there. So this will start to build up, I think, a bit more rapidly now. There's a lot in progress here. It's just really, I think we just need to get these ones at the top, which have like the 6.5% and 4%, another 4% here and 3% of liquidity there. If those ones are start getting in progressing, then we'll be very close to meeting that 85% threshold very soon. And from a DApp project readiness standpoint, this is the Intersect knowledge base page where they're trying to track this. I don't think it's 100% up to date. There's only 2 apps which have signaled to Intersect that they're ready. That's Charlie 3 and Denogo, with Axo in progress. Now, I'm sure there's plenty others that are getting ready for this as they're part of the Cardano ecosystem. As you can see, this was last updated on the 12th of August, so a little out of date now. That was 8 days ago. So something to be aware of, but I'm sure we'll hear more soon. While I have been recording all this, Intersect released their readiness bulletin number 8, and this is a big one. The Chang hard fork working group met today and reviewed the progress against the desired thresholds, as well as the community feedback sentiment for the upcoming Chang hard fork. They have decided that they are going to target mainnet hard fork for Tuesday, the 27th of August. So that is in 7 days' time, with a final go or no-go decision scheduled for Friday, the 23rd of August, in just 3 days' time. This is super exciting. Chang is just around the corner. Let's go. Charles recently spoke at the AI4 2024 conference, where he explored the challenges of merging blockchain and AI. He highlighted governance and privacy issues, noting that while blockchain could revolutionize AI through decentralized data sharing and secure marketplaces, fundamental differences like resource demands and ethical concerns make integration complex. The potential is vast, with use cases like royalty management and improved healthcare systems. However, challenges in technical compatibility, regulation, and moral alignment must be overcome. Despite these hurdles, blockchain could significantly enhance AI's future, particularly in securing data and addressing monopolistic control. So once again, Charles laying out the rules very concisely, very well. He's such a great speaker at these kind of conferences. And as we know, blockchain and AI are going to essentially be interwoven if we're not going to fall into a dystopian future of total control and run by the machines in the Skynet. Binance now accepts ADA through Binance Pay. So this is a big step forward. There's 30 million users globally with Binance Pay. This makes it really easy just to send ADA to and from different people and for businesses to leverage. Now, yes, of course, it's not like using the blockchain. Essentially, it is still a custodial solution, but for an entry-level business or individual who is scared to sort of dabble on chain and wants custody managed by a company because that's what they're used to, this is a great step forward. So I think this is really good, really positive for ADA. On to the Cardano project update. We're only going to touch on 2 items today because we've got a whole load to get through. But the first one is IAMX and the launch of Docufi3d, their product Docufi3d. Now, Docufi3d is a legally binding e-signature documentation tool leveraging the Cardano blockchain. IAMX have partnered with Swisscom, one of the largest IT company in Switzerland, to create this. So this is super exciting, a real world use case that's going to be very relevant. Exciting to see where this goes. The second project we're going to be taking a look at today is also very interesting. It's called Finest, and it is a real-world asset tokenization platform. It's intended to bring tokenization to commodities, stocks, and bonds, all on chain in a 100% compliant manner. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to review, and I'm going to call out some of the key points here. The first asset available and is live right now is granite, or Black Galaxy granite. So I believe it's a 0.1 cubic meter batch of granite that each token represents, and it costs $42.20 to buy. And that will be sold on your behalf by the mine that mines it after 3 months, and you are expected to gain 10%, a 10% return on your initial investment. So that'll bump it up to something like $46.50 is your return after 10 months. So why do this? And I think really what the intention is here, or how this is working in this particular example, is the mine is after additional liquidity. So you as the investor are providing your funds to the mine to help it scale up its operations in advance, essentially pre-buying that granite from them. And when they come to sell it, they are then profit sharing with you. So it's interesting. It sounds like, it could certainly, there's certainly I can see a viable way this works here. I guess, my questions would be, what happens if the mine suddenly doesn't want the liquidity and wants to keep all the profit for itself? Does that, I guess, the tokenization stops at that point? But Finest are looking to not just offer granite, but all sorts of other commodities, stocks, and bonds. So it's a platform that will enable that. And I think it feels like every single use case for the specific commodity or stock or bond, the business model might be slightly different and the returns might be slightly different. But this is how it's working with the granite option. It's really interesting. We'll be very keen to watch how this new sort of tokenized market sets up and evolves. So on the rare Evo section of this video, I want to kick off with Charles's keynote. Every time I watch Charles, he inspires me just to buy more ADA. He's such a motivational speaker. So I'm going to try and summarize this. There's a few things that we'll go into in a little bit more detail that he mentions later on. But first up, he talks to Cardano's significant advancements, and really that's Hydra scaling solution enabling millions of transactions via isomorphic state channels. And this is demonstrated by the release of Doom. Doom running on a Hydra head, to the game Doom, and you can actually go and play that. I think as of now, it's currently being paused. It ran for about 4 or 5 days. They're going to launch it again later on, but really it was meant as a demo to show what a Hydra head is capable of. More on that in a little bit. There's a lot more to show and talk to. Charles also announced the paper wallet, or a new paper wallet mechanism via Lace. Now, again, more on this later. There's actually a $1 million bounty to try to hack it. So we'll dive into that a little bit later on as well. Charles emphasizes Cardano's security and scalability. Well, and now it's new scalability. He refers to Cardano initially as a tank, but now with the onset of scaling, and Hydra is one element of that, is now a Lambo, or a Lambo tank as he calls it. So, and really that this sort of Hydra and the Lambo tank description is really now available because of the EUTXO architecture that Cardano Cardano integrated to start with. Now, Charles goes on to talk about governance. We have a minimum viable product of governance that's not perfect, but is about to launch soon with Chang. But although it's not perfect, we can change it and we can improve it via governance. There's a 1.5 billion ADA in our sovereign wealth fund, ready to go for use for marketing or anything else we wanted to do, to launch projects, to do anything, to even top up the treasury with. We can now show the world what Cardano is and what it's capable of. Now, interestingly, Charles goes on to talk about Bitcoin. Charles says Cardano exists because Bitcoin allowed it to exist. The concept of UTXO came out of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin wasn't ready. Bitcoin said no, and Cardano said yes. Really, we owe so many amazing ideas to Bitcoin and the original players in Bitcoin who came up with them. But the one failure was not embracing governance. And so now really its only use case is digital gold. Now, that's very good and it's simple, and that's presumably why it was kept that way. But by only embracing digital gold and not embracing extended UTXO, smart contracts, programmability, you can't run a government on chain. You can't run a supply chain. You can't run an election. Not on Bitcoin, you can't. And so we built Cardano. Now, it was an incredible speech, and he closes it off with Cardano and his belief that Cardano will win the third generation blockchain fight, and we're on the way to doing that. And governance and decentralization, the maximal decentralization that Cardano has compared to all other chains, showcased by the Edinburgh Decentralization Index, the EDI, just demonstrates that. So we're well on our way to winning that, and he has absolute confidence that that is to be won by Cardano. And he closes with talking about the fourth generation. And the one outstanding problem that blockchains have to solve is how do you keep a secret on-chain, securely, maintaining decentralization, and keeping all the original ethos of a blockchain, of crypto. And Midnight is going to demonstrate that in conjunction with Cardano and showcase that to everyone. So now with a focus on Doom and the Hydra head. Doom, the game, was running throughout the RWA Conference on a Hydra head, and it was pretty amazing. And you can see here Charles playing on the video game. All those transactions are occurring off chain on the layer 2 isomorphic state channel through the Hydra head. Throughout 78 hours of the conference, the average TPS on Hydra was 350 transactions per second. Now that's players coming on, playing a game, and each individual frame of this game is its own smart contract and its own transaction. It's happening super fast, and it's a crazy good scaling solution. For comparison, the average TPS for routed transactions on the Bitcoin Lightning Network is 2.5 transactions per second versus the 350 here on Hydra. It's pretty incredible. Charles announced the Lace Paper Wallet Bug Bounty Program, and what this is a $1 million paper wallet challenge to hack into it. So what's happened is Lace Wallet has created a paper wallet with a mechanism to PGP encrypt it. Now it works in the sense that there's a public and a private QR code representing the wallet address. The private one is encrypted via PGP. Input Output are so confident that it can't be hacked that they have put $1 million USDM NFT voucher in that wallet. So it's an NFT essentially, because for tax and compliance reasons. So you have to hack into that wallet, claim the NFT, and then you should be able to trade that in for USDM through IOG. They don't think it's going to be available and open till the end of the year, or unless it's hacked first. So it's certainly going to cause a lot of interest. Longer term, they're going to add decentralized ID support to the wallet, and Charles talked about adding Bitcoin and other crypto compatibility also. So PGP encryption can protect from a couple of things. First of all, what Charles calls a replay attack, which is simply you print a paper wallet from your printer. It might be your 24 words or whatever, and someone then comes along and just goes to the printer and says, like, reprint the last thing or whatever's there in the buffer. So printers aren't particularly secure, and so it's always a method of a route of attack there. Separately, and probably more common, is if someone just breaks into your house, onto your safe, takes and finds your 24 words, that is your paper wallet. If that's PGP encrypted, they won't be able to access your funds. So it adds a lot more accessibility and convenience for people. So it'll be interesting to see how this evolves and what applications it has. So there was much excitement and anticipation for the Charles and RFK Fireside chat at Rare Evo. Unfortunately, RFK couldn't make it there in person. He had some last-minute fundraising he had to attend in Cape Cod in Massachusetts. However, he was able to video in and spent a good 20 to 25 minutes chatting to Charles about all things crypto and political and election-wise. So it's a good conversation. Nothing new or groundbreaking, but it really spoke volumes that a leading presidential candidate attended the Rare Evo conference and spoke directly with Charles on all things crypto. First up on the wider crypto ecosystem news, there have been many reports and disclosures that Wall Street is buying up the Bitcoin ETF in bulk. A lot of companies have been disclosing that they are exposed to the ETF. Too many to go through one by one here. So I'll just share this post from Bitcoin Magazine, but there has been a lot over the past week. Next, this post on Reddit has been going viral over the last week, and it concerns Solana. Now, I know if you're listening to this channel, Solana is essentially the antithesis of Cardano. It's the complete opposite of what crypto is all about. And we're not huge fans, for the most part, of the Solana ecosystem over here. So this has actually been quite enjoyable to read. I'm glad more and more people are starting to understand the risks associated with Solana and that it isn't all that it is marketed to be. So 10 things they don't want you to know about Solana. 1. Bots constantly extract and front-run users that have slippage. 2. Transactions fail if you don't have enough slippage and users still have to pay for failures. 3. The blockchain has had 12 major outages so far. 4. Companies that run RPC endpoints can front-run you. 5. Solana has been officially in beta for 4.5 years so far. 6. To become a validator, you need to be extremely wealthy. 7. The TPS is marketed wrong. It's not 3,000 TPS. They include voting and failed transactions in this marketing to fool you. It's actually about 250 TPS. 8. Solana circulating supply increased by 59 million SOL over the last year, which means that they printed $8.5 billion. Recently, there was a vote passed for validators, the rich, to get 100% of high priority transactions. And 10, $7.5 billion of SOL is continued to be sold off by FTX. A major unlock occurs in March 2025 and continued unlocks every month until 2028. So, think what you will about Solana. I'm going nowhere near it. I prefer to stick with a chain that values decentralization and security. And finally, I wanted to draw your attention to a post from Max Kaiser. Now, for those of you who don't know, Max Kaiser is Bitcoin's resident crazy man. He is all over the place. He is one of the most intense Bitcoin maximalists and often talks a lot of rubbish about things he just doesn't understand. However, what he has brought up here is very relevant and something that I'm actually very interested in myself. His post says all countries will compete to attract residents. The nation-state model of the past 300 years is dead. The new decentralized nation model, pioneered by Bitcoin country, El Salvador, is gaining traction. Every country goes to zero against El Salvador. Everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. And he's quoted an Alex Jones post where Russia is essentially offering citizenship to Western people who want to sort of escape the system of where they currently live. Now, I'm not going to go into the Russian piece or really the El Salvador element. The interesting point really here is the nation state model dying or being dead and countries competing to attract residents. Now, I've long felt this is going to be the case. In fact, it's a key theme in the book, The Sovereign Individual. The Sovereign Individual, if you haven't read it, is one of the most influential books I have ever come across, and I've read it more than once. It's a fascinating prediction. It was written in 1999, a fascinating prediction of the future and what is to come as we move into a much more digital information age where a lot of economic activity and people's livelihood actually moves online into cyberspace. It sort of levels the playing field for people. And if you can combine that with a hard-capped digital cryptographic form of money, then the need for a nation state for various reasons, starts to decline. So it's exciting. It's interesting. I hope that, and I'm sure the crypto community does continue to talk about this. Obviously, The Sovereign Individual is a very prominent book in the crypto community. Wanted to point that out because it was something that is very, very of much interest to me, despite coming from Max Kaiser. Thank you once again for watching ADA Network State. If you did enjoy this video, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you once again, and see you next time.